At BTS's final world tour concert, Jimin's backstage whisper to Jungkook leaks live. What the world hears changes everything forever. You're making the biggest mistake of your life and you don't even realize it. Jungkook froze mid-step, turning toward Jimin, who had come up behind him so suddenly. The roar of the crowd outside was deafening, but in the corridor backstage, those words cut straight through. "What the hell are you talking about?" Jungkook's tone was sharp, impatient. "This is the last night. I'm not doing this with you right now." Jimin didn't back down. "Exactly. It's the last night. If I don't say it now, I'll regret it forever." Jungkook shook his head slightly. "You pick now to start this? We're supposed to walk out there in 2 minutes." "That's the point," Jimin said, stepping closer. "You think it's all about the music tonight? No. This is about us, and you know it." Jungkook's voice dropped, heavy with warning. "Don't start drama just because you're scared of what comes next." "I'm not scared," Jimin fired back. "I'm pissed. I'm pissed you keep acting like what happened doesn't matter. Like you can just erase it. Because it doesn't matter," Jungkook snapped. "It was nothing. Stop turning it into a damn scandal." Jimin let out a low laugh that didn't sound amused at all. "Nothing? You call lying to my face for 6 months nothing?" Jungkook's jaw tightened. "I didn't lie. I kept something from you because it wasn't your business." "My business?" Jimin's voice rose, cutting through the hallway noise. "When it involves her, it's my business." Jungkook leaned in. "You don't get to decide that. Not anymore." A tense silence filled the gap between them until Jimin spoke again, slower this time. "Do you have any idea what's about to happen when I tell them?" "Tell who? The members? The staff? The fans?" Jungkook's tone was biting. "You think anyone's going to take your side after everything? That's where you're wrong," Jimin said, and his voice carried an edge Jungkook hadn't heard before. "You've been so busy protecting your image that you forgot who actually knows you." Jungkook glanced toward the stage entrance, clearly torn. "We can't do this here." "We already are." Before Jungkook could respond, Jimin stepped closer, closing the space between them, and, without hesitation, wrapped his arms around him from behind. "Stop," Jungkook muttered. "People are watching." "That's the idea," Jimin said. His lips barely moved, but the words were deliberate. "I forgive you, but they won't." "What the hell are you?" And then, through the blaring sound system, the entire arena heard it. A hush swept over the crowd, followed by a wave of gasps and shouts as the realization hit their mics were still on. Jungkook went rigid. "You did this on purpose?" "You needed to hear it," Jimin said quietly, though the world was still listening. "And so did they." Jungkook exhaled sharply. "You've just started something you can't control." "Good," Jimin replied. "Maybe it's about time." The announcement from the stage manager echoed down the hall, calling them out to perform. Neither moved immediately. Finally, Jungkook turned away. "We'll talk after." "No," Jimin said, following him toward the lights and the screaming crowd. "We'll finish this on stage." "Do not drag this on stage," Jungkook said. "You already did," Jimin answered. "You said I needed to hear it. Now I want you to hear me where you can't dodge it." "I'm not dodging," Jungkook said. "You are. You've been dodging since the day I asked if you were happy." "You asked at 3 a.m. after a 14-hour day," Jungkook said. "You chose a moment I'd say anything just to keep the peace." "And you still couldn't do it," Jimin said. "You couldn't lie. You said you didn't know. That's the one answer you never give, unless you're drowning." Jungkook breathed in as if to build a wall. "You want honesty? Fine. I didn't know if I was happy because everything felt like a test. The relationship, the schedule, the brand, the promises. Every yes was a trap." "So you picked silence," Jimin said. "You always do. Silence makes you look clean. It also leaves me to bleed out in public alone." "Don't start with victim lines," Jungkook said. "You're not powerless. You planned this mic thing." "I plan to stop pretending," Jimin said. "And that includes pretending I'm okay with her." "There it is," Jungkook said. "You hate her because you think she owns a part of me. You want to control." "I hate her because she thinks love is a headline," Jimin said. "Because she knows exactly which rumor to feed and which friend to call. Because she told me to my face that you'd outgrow me." "You met her without telling me," Jungkook said. "You met her and made threats that made us both look insane." "I met her because you wouldn't answer your phone," Jimin said. "Because you vanish when you're scared. because I had to find out whether this tour ends with a song or a scandal." Jungkook paused, then lowered his voice. "What did she say?" "She said you were building a safe future," Jimin said. "She said I was a phase. She said once the cameras moved on, you'd move on too." She smiled like she'd already won. "You believed her?" "No," Jimin said, steady. "I looked at her and realized why you've been split in half. Because she never loved you. She loved the idea that loving you would make her untouchable." Jungkook's eyes hardened, but he held the words back. Jimin noticed anyway. "You want to defend her. Do it. I won't stop you. I won't defend anyone who uses me," Jungkook said. "But I also won't be forced to break up for your sense of justice." "I didn't ask you to break up," Jimin said. "I asked you to be honest about why you needed her. And if the answer is comfort, say comfort. If the answer is fear, say fear." A door opened somewhere off stage. A manager's voice cut through from a distance with the usual reminders about timing and cues. Jungkook didn't move. Jimin didn't either. The world outside kept running on autopilot. The two of them refused to step back into it. "You asked me once why I keep pushing," Jimin said. "It's not to win. It's because you never say the thing out loud until someone corners you. You can't keep cornering me and call it love," Jungkook said. "I know," Jimin said. "So say it yourself. Say what you've been avoiding." "You want the ugliest version? Here," Jungkook said. "I kept her because it felt like control over a life where I have none. There. Honest enough?" Jimin nodded once. "Now say the other part." "What other part?" "The part you say at night when you think I'm asleep. The part about how you hate the emptiness after the stage, and you fill it with anyone who won't ask questions because you're tired of being read like a book." Jungkook looked at him without flinching. "You're not wrong." "I know I'm not wrong," Jimin said. "That's why it hurts." Another voice floated near them, an assistant warning they were seconds away. Jungkook took a step forward, then stopped. "We should go." "We will," Jimin said. "But I'm not done." "Of course you're not," Jungkook muttered, and then corrected himself. "Fine, finish it." "I forgive you," Jimin said, repeating it in the same tone as before. "Not because you deserve it, because I can't keep attaching my worth to your choices." "You think that's forgiveness?" Jungkook asked. "It sounds like a goodbye." "It's not a goodbye," Jimin said. "It's a boundary." Jungkook's shoulders loosened a fraction. "So you're staying?" "I was always staying," Jimin said. "Just not in the version of your life where I turn into a prop." They stepped out together, and the set list pulled them into the current they knew by heart. They moved through the first song on instinct, then the second, then a short break where the usual banter should have filled the gap. Jimin cut it and spoke. "We're not doing the script," he said lightly, more to Jungkook than the stadium. "We're telling the truth tonight." Jungkook didn't argue. "I'll go first then," he said, turning enough to make his words count, but not enough to turn it into theater. "I'm tired of pretending nothing ever gets messy. I'm tired of being a poster for an emotion that never cracks." Jimin let it land. "I'm tired of watching you split yourself to keep people calm," he said. "I'm tired of being told what we are by people who don't know how we survive." The crowd reacted like it always does when two people refuse to operate by the usual rules, but neither of them addressed it directly. They didn't need to. An interlude came up. Jimin took the moment and dropped a line that shifted the axis. "You want them to know why I said you'd regret it?" Jungkook nodded. "Tell them," he said. "Or tell me. Maybe this time I'll hear it. You'll regret it because you'll build your life on keeping the peace, and peace doesn't fix a hollow center," Jimin said. "You'll wake up one day and realize your promises didn't save you. They just made you polite. And you think you can save me?" "No," Jimin said. "I can't save you. I can just refuse to be the reason you keep pretending you're fine." "What do you want me to do right now?" Jungkook asked. "Break up on stage? Announce a new religion? Cry a river and call it art?" "I want you to choose yourself," Jimin said. "If that includes me, good. If it doesn't, I'll still survive. What I won't do is watch you erase yourself and call that love." When the next track hit, they went back to work. In the middle of the performance, a lyric drifted too close to their real story for comfort. A camera feed lingered. A whisper of chatter online turned into a wave. A staff message buzzed in someone's pocket. None of that was the point. What mattered was the private decision forming under everything else. During the final chorus, Jungkook made it. He didn't say it yet. He held it and let the show carry him to the next safe place to speak. The set ended strong. They regrouped briefly at the side while the stage flipped for the encore. Another manager approached, offering a script for the closing talk. Jimin didn't take it. Jungkook glanced at it and handed it back. The manager tried again with a warning about sponsors and timing. Jimin asked if Honesty had ever lost them a sponsor that mattered, and the manager fell silent because there wasn't a clean answer. Jungkook cut in. He said there would be a closing talk, but it would be theirs. The manager looked pale, then calculated, then resigned. He gave them the signal they'd hoped for and stepped back. They walked out for the encore. The last song waited like a ritual. Jungkook spoke before the first note. "I've been in a long relationship that looked perfect on paper," he said. "It made me feel safe. It also made me disappear. That's not her fault. That's mine." Jimin didn't add anything for a beat. Then he said, "I've been complicit too. I made myself a shield. And when he chose the shield over the truth, I punished both of us." Jungkook took another breath. "I'm ending it," he said. "Not because anyone pressured me. Because I've been protecting a version of myself that never grows." The reaction around them tilted the night into a different shape, but they didn't write it like a spectacle. They let it be what it was, a public end to a private confusion. Jimin looked at him, not for approval, not for drama, but to see if the words lifted even a fraction of the weight he'd been carrying. Jungkook nodded once, like a promise to himself. Jimin faced forward and addressed the whole arc of their careers in a few simple lines. He said they built everything on work and trust, and sometimes trust is loud and sometimes it's quiet, but it never survives on lies. He said love shows up different for different people, and you don't get to vote on someone else's boundaries. He said you can lose the world and keep your soul, or win the world and misplace it. He said they were done misplacing it. The last song finally played. It was the kind of song that blooms wider than the people singing it. On this night, it doubled as a statement. They finished without dragging the moment into theatrics. Backstage afterward, a staff member tried to break the tension with small talk and failed. Another staffer offered congratulations in a cautious tone, as if honesty were a controversial hobby. Their phones were already filling with messages from every corner of their lives. They turned them over, face down, and let the flood pass by for a while. Jungkook spoke first. "I didn't plan to do that tonight," he said. "I know," Jimin said. "You did it anyway. That's the point." "You could have told me you were going to meet her," Jungkook said. Circling back to the thorn neither of them had pulled out. "You could have told me you weren't going to answer," Jimin said. "You always disappear when you're ashamed." "I was ashamed," Jungkook admitted. "I knew I'd built a life on convenience. I didn't want to watch you figure it out." "I already knew," Jimin said. "I was waiting for you to know." "So what's left for us?" Jungkook asked, for once not hiding behind logic. "We're not a headline," Jimin said. "We're not a pitch. We're two people who refuse to lie to each other. That's the beginning and the middle. The end depends on whether we keep choosing it." Another message pinged nearby. The label wanted a statement. A brand wanted reassurance. A friend asked if they were good. A family member said they were proud. Another said this was a mistake. The chatter folded into white noise, neither of them fed. Jimin told Jungkook he'd make his own statement, and he wouldn't drag anyone by name. Jungkook said he'd take responsibility for the parts that were his and leave the rest unstated. Jimin nodded. "No saints, no villains," he said. "Just choices." An hour later, the members gathered around. One raised an eyebrow and asked if this was necessary. Jimin said yes. Another asked if they were okay. Jungkook said yes, in the way you're okay when you stop pretending you're not bleeding. A third said they supported honesty but wanted a heads up next time. Jimin apologized for the shock. Jungkook apologized for the delay. They meant it. The group shifted from concern to a kind of quiet acceptance that only comes from years of surviving together. When the night finally thinned out, Jungkook sat across from Jimin in the small room they always end up in when things break or heal. There were no speeches left, only the next real thing to say. Jungkook said he wasn't ready to jump from one label to another, from safe to dramatic, from denial to a neon declaration. He said he needed to learn how to stand alone without choosing loneliness. He said he loved Jimin in ways that never fit neat categories, and he didn't want to cheapen that by rushing a confession because it would make the internet swoon. Jimin said he didn't want a performance. He wanted a practice. He wanted a daily choice to be clear and kind, even when clear feels cruel. He wanted a way forward where honesty didn't have to be a spectacle to exist. Jungkook asked if that was possible for people like them. Jimin said it was if they stopped thinking of people like them as a curse and started treating it as a boundary that needed structure. They mapped it out, not with bullet points or PR lines, but with a few simple promises. No disappearing. No decisions that weaponize silence. No dragging third parties into their arguments. No confessions that kill one person to save the other. And one more. If either of them started to shrink to keep the peace, the other would call it out no matter how bad the timing. Jungkook looked at those promises like they were oxygen. He said he could keep them. Jimin said he would hold him to it. They didn't seal it with anything dramatic. They just agreed. Then they stood, not to make a show of moving on, but because it was time to go back to the mess that always follows truth. The next morning, the world had its headlines. Some were cruel, some were kind, some were confused. It didn't matter as much as it used to. Jungkook called her and ended it without theatrics, without blame, without inviting a camera into the room. He told her the truth. He'd used the relationship to hide from uncertainty, and that wasn't fair to either of them. She said things that landed like darts, and he took them without flinching. Then he hung up and sent 2 messages, one to his family, one to the group. Both said the same thing. "I'm okay. I'm not running. I'm starting over." Jimin texted him. "Breakfast?" Jungkook answered. "Yeah." No statements, no scenes. Just 2 people eating and planning their day. At the cafe, they didn't replay every moment or try to squeeze grand meaning from chaos. They put down the same boundaries they'd named the night before. But this time, they treated it like a routine, not a rescue mission. In the middle of it, Jungkook asked a question that changed the tone of everything going forward. He asked if love could be ordinary and still be worth fighting for. Jimin said ordinary is the part you build on when the storms pass. It's not boring, it's the proof. They spent the afternoon returning calls, giving context where it mattered, ignoring bait where it didn't. Their circle tightened instead of shrinking. Offers came in for tell-all interviews, and they declined. Requests arrived for curated content, and they delayed. They weren't hiding, they were choosing. That difference, small as it looked on paper, felt like the first real win. That night, they reviewed footage from the show, not to admire themselves, but to see if the honesty turned into a spectacle they'd regret. It didn't. It looked like 2 people refusing to be puppets. They let it stand. Then Jungkook drafted a short post. He said he wasn't a role model for perfect decisions, but he would try to be a role model for honest ones. He said he loved hard, worked hard, failed hard, learned slowly, and refused to sell his soul for applause. He pressed send and put his phone away. Jimin wrote his own, shorter still. He said boundaries weren't walls, they were doors you choose who to let through. He said he loved the parts of life that didn't make noise. He said he was proud of them both for choosing truth over convenience. He posted it and left it alone. They didn't fix everything in one night, or one breakfast, or one post. They didn't promise a label for what they were to each other, because labels had done enough damage for a while. They promised presence. They promised to tell the truth before the lie took root. And when the next show or scandal or rumor tried to reshape them, they had something sturdier than a headline to hold on to. Not a fairy tale, not a cliffhanger, just a decision made in public and lived in private, and a road that doesn't need to be loud to be real. Morning hits like a meeting invite nobody asked for. Phones blowing up, group chat a mess, label pinging nonstop. Jungkook calls first. "You up?" "Barely," Jimin says. "You good?" "Define good." Jungkook says. "I ended it. Clean. No drama." "Proud of you," Jimin says. "You ready for the real wave?" "Let it crash," Jungkook says. "I'm done swallowing it." They agree to meet at the office instead of hiding at home. On the way, Jungkook gets a call from someone who hasn't checked in for months. He rejects it. It rings again. He answers. "Now you care?" "I always cared," the voice says. "Careful. Sponsors are nervous. We should strategize." "Strategize what?" Jungkook says. "Honesty?" "Optics," the voice says. "Same thing, different spelling," Jungkook says, and hangs up. News keeps spinning. A gossip host hints at a love triangle. A fake insider posts threads with confident lies. A forum digs up old clips and stitches them with captions that would embarrass a teenager. Jimin reads one, then tosses the phone face down. People really love fanfic that pretends it's reporting. We created a world where silence gets narrated by strangers, Jungkook says. We're taking the mic back. They set a time for the live, not immediately, not after a week. Just late enough to let the noise burn out, early enough not to look scared. They write nothing, no script. Just 4 sentences they promise to cover. What ended, what didn't, what they own, what they refuse. The team hates it. Legal begs for review. PR asks for bullet points. They say no to both. The brand threatens a pause. They say, okay. The network says they'll reconsider the special. They say, cool, we'll do it later or not at all. Hours before the live, Jimin's phone rings again. Unknown number. He picks up. A voice he recognizes from last night's meeting. Not Han. Someone above Han. We can make this go away, the voice says. We can drown the audio, redirect the narrative, kill the trend. You just have to cooperate. Define cooperate, Jimin says. Deliver a line that brings the market back to center, the voice says. Which line? Say you exaggerated. Say you were emotional. Say you regret making it public. Say you're friends. So basically say nothing, Jimin replies. Say the performance version of forgiveness. I already forgave him, Jimin says. For real, not for you. Then respect the business, the voice snaps. Respect the people who built your platform. We are the people who built it, Jimin says. We built it with nights nobody saw and mornings nobody paid for. We paid for it in silence. We're done with that currency. He hangs up. He texts Jungkook. They're going to push hard. Jungkook replies, let them. We're still us. Jimin texts back. Good. Meet in 10. Let's go ruin their script. They start the live. No filters. No mood lighting. No team peeking from behind the camera. Just their voices. Jungkook speaks first. I don't want to talk in circles. I ended a relationship. I didn't cheat. I hid. That's the ugly truth. I used comfort to avoid courage, and that's on me. Jimin follows. I met her. I wanted clarity. I wasn't kind. I wasn't cruel. I was tired. There's audio floating around. It's cut. The real conversation was longer and calmer. I said what I said. I also said I don't hate her. I hate the system that treats people like plot devices. They don't pause for comments. They don't read the chat. They keep going. Jungkook says he loves music more when he's not lying in the margins. He says he loves people best when he's not performing personal peace at all costs. He says he's not ready to label whatever this is with Jimin, and he won't call it anything to make headlines happy. He says he'll show it privately and protect it publicly. Jimin says he's not here to police anyone's fantasy or ship or storyline. He's here to keep his life aligned with his values. He says he'll defend boundaries, even when people call it cold. He says he'll keep showing up, and if that looks boring, good. Boring is sustainable. They end the live in under 15 minutes. No QA, no cliffhanger, just enough. The team hates it for exactly 2 minutes. Then something weird happens. The noise doesn't explode. It morphs. Some people argue. Some people crack jokes. A portion of fans says, thanks, and moves on. The brand emails. They want to talk. The network texts. They're back in. Han calls. They don't pick up. Later, they're back in the same small room. No speeches, just debrief. We did it, Jungkook says. Feels like we stepped out of a trap, Jimin says. We did, Jungkook says. We said half of it ourselves. We walked out anyway. You know what I realized? Jimin asks. What? Every time we tell the truth without the theatrics, we survive faster. Let's keep doing that, Jungkook says. Deal, Jimin says. The door opens again. Manager A pokes in, cautious. Update from upstairs. Han's off the project. He get fired? Jimin asks. They said reassigned, Manager A says. Means fired with extra steps. Good, Jungkook says. No victory lap, Jimin adds. I'm not dancing on anyone's grave. Agreed, Jungkook says. We still gotta clean up. Always, Jimin says. But we're not mopping while someone keeps punching holes in the ceiling. They plan the next few days. Practice. 2 small shoots. No interviews. A charity thing they actually care about. A quiet dinner with the members. A phone call home. Ordinary stuff. The kind that doesn't trend because it's not extreme. The kind that makes everything else survivable. Before they leave, Jungkook stops at the door. "Hey." "Yeah," Jimin says. "I meant it when I said I'm done disappearing." "I know," Jimin says. "I meant it when I said I'm staying," Jungkook says. "Not as a shield, as me." "I heard you," Jimin says. "Good," Jungkook says. "Let's go to work." They step out into a hallway that used to feel like a tunnel and now feels like a path. Not clean, not easy, but theirs. And that's enough for today. The day after the live, the label schedules a reset meeting. No catering, no cameras, just a packed agenda and names that usually stay behind email. Jimin arrives first. Jungkook walks in a minute later. No greetings, no small talk. The conference table fills with managers, PR, legal, finance, and 2 executives who never come down unless something is on fire. Executive 1 starts. "Last night stabilized the numbers. That's good. But you created precedent. That's dangerous," Jimin answers without pause. "Dangerous for who?" "For everyone who needs predictability," Executive 1 says. Jungkook cuts in. "Predictability died when you hired a fixer to stage manage our personal lives." Legal raises a hand like a referee. "Let's stick to what we can resolve. The brand wants assurance you won't escalate." "We already de-escalated," Jimin says. 15 minutes, clean, done." "They want a document," PR says. "A statement of intent. No more surprise disclosures. You want us to sign a promise to be boring," Jungkook says. "No," PR says. "A promise to coordinate." Executive 2 flips a folder open. There's also the matter of the leaked audio. We've identified 3 probable paths. 1, a rogue contractor. 2, a hostile ex-employee. 3, outside agent tied to a tabloid. We can't pin it yet. Jimin has heard enough. You don't need a path. You need a spine. It came from inside the machine. Find the hand. The room stalls. Executive 1 tries a softer push. "If you'll agree to a joint video with the brand, we'll have leverage to demand takedowns." Jungkook shakes his head. "We're not trading our faces for your leverage. Do your job. We'll do ours." Han is missing from the room, but his shadow sits in every sentence. Legal moves to the next item. There's chatter about a civil claim from her team. If insinuations continue. Jimin leans forward. "We named no one. We dragged no one. We told the truth about our choices. Feelings aren't defamation," Jungkook says. "Keep the threat where it belongs, in a draft that never sees daylight." A junior staffer, braver than his badge suggests, speaks up. Fans are split but trending supportive. The live helped. The clip farms are dying out. Jimin nods once. "Then let them die. Don't feed them with official rebuttals every hour." Executive 2 redirects. "Tour wrap documentary is in post. There are segments that now read differently. We need your sign-off to re-edit." "Cut what weaponizes our human moments," Jungkook says. "Leave the music. Leave the work. Lose the bait." "Define bait," the editor on the call asks. Jimin answers fast. "Anything that turns private process into public entertainment. If you're not sure, cut it." The meeting stretches. The executives circle back to money. Finance outlines penalties if the brand walks. Jungkook listens, then says, "We'll make it up on stage. That's what we do." Executive 1 worries about downstream effects. Jimin replies, "Downstream of truth is still water. Downstream of lies is sewage. Pick your river." The room goes quiet. Legal, finally, offers a compromise. "We will draft a narrow, plain language addendum. You'll give us a heads up if you plan to address personal matters during official events. No content control, just notice." Jimin looks at Jungkook. Jungkook nods. "Fine. Notice, not permission." "Done," legal says. The meeting breaks. Everyone files out slower than they came in. The door closes, and the quiet feels earned, not awkward. Jimin speaks first. "Your mom texted me." Jungkook's head jerks. "What did she say?" "She said she loves you, hates the mess, and hopes I won't disappear from family dinners." Jungkook exhales. She's been worried I'd let the past run my present. She also asked if I'm pushing you into some label you don't want. Jimin says, "What did you tell her?" I told her we're choosing truth over labels. She said that sounds like something a therapist writes on a whiteboard. Then she sent a heart and told me to eat. Jungkook laughs once. That tracks. His phone lights up. It's her again. He looks at Jimin. "Take it," Jimin says. Jungkook answers. "Yeah." A pause. "No, I won't do a joint post. No, not an interview. Because I don't want to turn this into content. We're done. And that includes the performance of being done. I wish you peace. I'm not coming on your show." Another pause. "I know you're hurt. I'm sorry. But I'm not paying penance in public." He ends the call. Jimin nods. "You did right." "Feels like jumping without checking the ground," Jungkook says. "Sometimes the ground is exactly where you land." Jimin replies, "You're fine." They head to rehearsal to prep for a charity set they actually care about. The members drift in and out, checking on them between segments. One of them corners Jimin. "Be honest. Are you trying to push him into a narrative he can't live up to?" "I'm pushing him out of a narrative he can't survive," Jimin says. "There's a difference." The member studies him. "Don't cook him on high heat, just to prove a point." "I'm lowering the flame," Jimin says. He turned the knob himself. At lunch, PR lead texts. Han wants to apologize. Jimin replies, "He can do that to the people he harmed." Jungkook adds, "And to the fans he tried to play." 2 hours later, Han sends a formal note. No spin, just an admission. He trimmed context, he seeded it, he convinced himself he was protecting value. He says he's stepping away. He includes an offer to sign a confession if needed. Jimin forwards it to legal. "Archive it. If anyone tries to rewrite history, we drop receipts." Legal replies with a single line. "Understood." Evening brings a new problem. A gossip show teases a bombshell about a clause in Jungkook's contract that allegedly fines him for moral disruptions. The show claims the label docked his pay in the past for a private matter. Executive 1 panics in the group chat. Legal says the clause exists, but the interpretation is nonsense. Jungkook reads the message and doesn't flinch. "I'll address it once. Clean." Jimin asks, "Here or public?" "Public," Jungkook says. "If I don't, the narrative blooms." He opens his notes and types 3 lines. "I have a standard conduct clause. It's common. I've never been fined for telling the truth. I refuse to live like a brand with a heartbeat." He posts it. He puts the phone down. Within minutes, the gossip show pivots to something else because there's no oxygen left for scandal. The group chat calms. That night, they end up at the studio. Not to perform, not to film, just to be in a space that still makes sense when life doesn't. Jungkook pulls up a rough melody. Jimin suggests a line. "It isn't about her. It isn't about the live. It's about choosing to stop negotiating with fear." They write without naming names, without subtweets, without cheap catharsis. It's not a diss track. It's a note to self with a beat. After an hour, they have a sketch that feels like a spine. "This isn't for the album," Jungkook says. "This is for me." "Exactly," Jimin says. "Use it to build your day." The next morning, the brand reverses course. They want in again, but with conditions. A healing narrative, joint content, carefully framed smiles. Executive 2 pushes the offer like it's oxygen. Jimin says, "We're not filming our recovery for your campaign." Jungkook adds, "If you want music, we're here. If you want therapy, cosplay, find actors." The room freezes. The brand rep tries to salvage it. "Maybe a softer angle gratitude. Growth fans." Jimin answers, "Gratitude is not a performance. It's a habit. We'll show it by how we work, not how we pose." The brand rep looks at Executive 2, gets no help, and withdraws the ask. The deal stays on the table without the narrative tax. Small win, not flashy. Real. Around noon, a curveball lands. An old friend from pre-debut days posts a thread implying Jimin has always managed Jungkook, hinting at control. Comments pile up. People who barely know them act like experts. Jimin reads it and feels the old anger claw at the door. He doesn't take the bait. He texts the friend, "Call me." The friend calls. Jimin doesn't yell. He asks why. The friend admits he was approached by a tabloid with money and spun. He says he thought it would blow over. Jimin says spin always sticks to someone. The friend asks what to do. Jimin says, tell the truth or delete it and be quiet. The friend posts a retraction. It doesn't undo all the harm, but it stops the bleeding. Jungkook sends Jimin a single message, proud. Afternoon brings family again. A relative says the quiet part out loud. Are you two together now? Jungkook answers, we're together in trying not to be hypocrites. The relative sighs. That's not an answer. It's the only one that won't become a headline I regret, he says. Later, Jimin's cousin asks a similar question with more edge. Are you stringing him along? Jimin answers, I'm standing next to him while he figures out who he is without costumes. The cousin softens. That sounds honest. It is, Jimin says. Honest doesn't always sound romantic. By evening, the noise shifts from scandal to speculation. Analysts pontificate about brand resilience. Commentators debate authenticity as a strategy. A pop psychologist writes a thread diagnosing them from a distance. Jungkook reads none of it. Jimin reads a little, then stops. They work, they rehearse. They keep the schedule that matters and cut what doesn't. In the gaps, they talk like people, not headlines. Jungkook admits he misses the certainty of old habits. Jimin admits he misses the simplicity of being teammates without the extra layers. They agree to keep it simple where it can be simple and complicated where it has to be complicated, not the other way around. 2 days later, Han requests a face-to-face. Against better judgment, they accept not to bond, but to close the loop. He arrives on time. No swagger. He says he thought his job was to predict the market and protect value. He says he forgot. Value includes sleep and dignity. He says he'll make a public apology if asked. Jungkook declines. We don't need your public apology to heal. We need you out of rooms where people like us get turned into strategies. Jimin adds, learn the difference between guidance and puppetry. Han nods, thanks them for the meeting, and leaves. No handshake. No absolution. Just an end. The charity set finally arrives. They do it without speeches. They let the cause be the headline. Backstage, a board member thanks them for showing up without making it about themselves. Jimin smiles and says, that's the job. Jungkook adds, that's the point. On the way out, a young volunteer stops them and says the live helped them call off a relationship that was eating them alive. No theatrics, just thanks. It lands deeper than any trend. That night, the documentary editor sends a rough cut with the bait removed. It still sings. It still shows the work. It doesn't sell their pain. They approve it with minor notes. Executive 1 replies with unexpected grace. This is better. Executive 2 adds, I was wrong about needing the drama. Jimin forwards the email to Jungkook with a simple caption, progress. Jungkook replies, finally. They end the day in the one place that survived every version of them. A quiet corner with a whiteboard and a calendar. No cameras. No plans to shock anyone. They map the next 6 weeks. Music first. Health second. Family third. Media last. It's not a manifesto. It's a schedule. Jimin asks if Jungkook wants to add us anywhere on the board. Jungkook answers, we're in every line. Jimin nods. Good. Jungkook says, I'm not promising fireworks. I'm promising follow-through. Jimin says, I don't need spectacle. I need consistency. Jungkook says, then you'll get bored, and we'll call that victory. Jimin laughs. Deal. Before they leave, Jungkook stops. One more thing. I wrote something last night. Not a confession. A list. He pulls out his phone and reads, I will not use people as shelters. I will not let fear dress up as loyalty. I will not sell my privacy for applause. I will not punish the person who tells me the truth. I will not confuse peace with distance. I will not make you carry my silence. He looks up. Can I tape that somewhere I can't ignore it? Tape it to your life, Jimin says. I'll keep you honest. I know you will, Jungkook says. That's why you're still here. They walk out without ceremony. No cliffhanger, no next week promise. Just two people who threw out a script that never fit and chose something heavier and truer. The storm didn't vanish. The machine didn't retire, but the center held. because they decided what it was made of and stuck to it. And for once, that was enough. The morning looks like it wants a rematch. Calendar stuffed, phones busy, people asking for the one thing no one gets for free, clean closure. Jimin calls first. You ready? Jungkook answers fast. Yeah. What's the fire? Not fire. A test. Same thing, Jungkook says. Hit me. She posted, Jimin says. Long caption. Not messy, but loaded. Says she wishes you well. Says she was blindsided by timing. Says she hopes fans won't attack her. Comments turned off. So she framed it, Jungkook says. Soft halo, no blood. Exactly. I'm not responding, he says. Good, Jimin says. We don't do duet posts with ghosts. They meet at the studio because it's the only place where decisions feel like craft, not combat. Manager A walks in with a face that says, brace. There's a media invite you should know about, he starts. Big outlet, prime slot, friendly interviewer. They want to talk artistry, resilience, the live future plans. Jungkook shakes his head. No therapy tour. Manager A tries again. It would calm the industry. Jimin looks up. We're not trying to calm the industry. We're trying to stay human. Manager A nods, backs out, texts something frantic to the group thread. 10 minutes later, Executive 2 calls. Quick question, she says, voice clipped. Did either of you authorize a leak about the brand negotiations? No, Jimin says. Why? There's a rumor the brand came crawling back and you told them to stand in line. Jungkook blinks at the wording, then answers, we didn't leak, and we didn't posture. We said no to narrative conditions. That's all. Great, Executive 2 says. Because the brand is pretending they never left. They're pitching a joint campaign again, new angle, same leverage. What's the angle this time? Jimin asks. Brotherhood, she says. Healing, unity, family. We're not renting out our relationship as decoration, Jimin says. Tell them to sell fabric, not fairy tales. Copy, she says, and hangs up. They dive into work, not to hide, to remember they can build something that isn't a reaction to noise. Halfway through a run, PR lead bursts in without a knock. Don't kill me, they say. Something hit the forums, a thread claiming Jimin negotiated a solo opportunity and blocked Jungkook from joining because of control issues. Jimin stares at the wall for a beat. Which solo opportunity? An international festival feature, PR says. A rumor from months ago that never had legs. Jungkook asks the only question that matters. Source? PR hesitates. Looks like a burner tied to a staffer's cousin. Name, Jimin says. PR gives it. Jungkook exhales slowly. She used to hang around catering and fish for quotes. She asked for selfies and then mind sentences, Jimin says. I remember. Manager B joins the mess, waving a printout. And there's this, he says. A leaked message thread between you two. It's obviously fake. The timestamps don't make sense. The language isn't yours, but it's slick. The printout shows a script where Jimin calls Jungkook a brand asset, and Jungkook begs him to allow the relationship with her for market optics. It reads like a drama written by an algorithm. We ignore it, Jungkook says. We don't hand out oxygen. Agreed, Jimin says. We just keep talking like adults and let the cosplay die. Then, a call they can't ignore. Their director for a major year-end stage. I'll be blunt, she says. I want you both. I want the full team. I want new arrangement. I'm not asking for drama. I'm asking for teeth. Jimin smiles at the simplicity. Teeth we can do, Jungkook adds. Just don't ask us to reenact the live. I don't direct soap operas, she says. I direct stages. Give me music that sounds like now. Deal, they say together. Afternoon brings family again, because life doesn't cue itself politely. Jungkook's dad rings. Not a scold, a check-in. Proud of you for speaking like a man and not like a poster, he says. Thanks, Jungkook replies. You eating? Yes, he says, the automatic answer. And you? Always, his dad says. One more thing. Don't punish yourself for not seeing it earlier. Clarity arrives when it can lift what it lands on. The call ends. No sermon, just presence that doesn't cost performance points. Jimin watches quietly. "He's good," Jimin says. "I lucked out," Jungkook answers. "You earned it," Jimin says. "Not everybody who gets a good dad knows how to keep the bridge open." They return to work. The song they sketched yesterday picks up new bones. It starts to sound like something you'd play for a friend at 2 a.m. when you both need to remember why you started. No names, no shade. Just a line that says, "I won't use love as a lock." Another that says, "I won't confuse calm with truth." They build it out of statements they wish someone had given them for free when everything began. PR lead returns with softer eyes. Update. The fake messages are losing steam. Fans are calling out the weird phrasing. Also, the staffer's cousin deleted her account. Jimin nods. "Good. Let it compost." "Compost?" Jungkook laughs. "Yeah," Jimin says. Garbage that eventually feeds something worth planting. An hour later, a text from her. "I won't go on shows, but I won't be painted as a villain." Jimin reads it over Jungkook's shoulder. "You gonna respond?" "No," Jungkook says. "We already decided. No duet narratives." "I respect that," Jimin says. "You respect it even when it could clear your name faster?" Jungkook asks. "Especially then," Jimin says. "I want you free, not acquitted." A sudden ping from legal. "We found the source of the clipped audio," the message reads. "A subcontractor under Han's umbrella. Contract terminated. Signed confession enclosed." They open the attachment. It's dry and damning. The subcontractor writes that they trimmed lines to intensify narrative friction and seeded them through fake accounts to simulate organic heat. Jungkook scrolls to the last line. "I thought I was protecting the product. I forgot the product is people." Jimin forwards it to PR with a single note. "Keep. Don't post." Then to Executive 2. "Good. Now fix your vendor vetting so we don't do this again." Executive 2 replies, "Already on it." As they pack up, Manager A peeks in again. There's a board member who wants a meeting. Old school. Believes silence is class. Thinks you should consider a formal truce with the brand campaign to stabilize public sentiment. Jimin answers before Jungkook can. "Tell him we're building sentiment by making good art and not lying. If he needs a slogan, he can write it on a mug." Manager A snorts before he can stop himself. "Copy," he says, and disappears. Evening. A private dinner with the members, promised days ago and not canceled despite the noise. They don't do speeches, they don't do interventions. They do the unglamorous work of being a team. One of them says, "I don't miss the old silence." Another says, "I miss parts of it because it felt easier." Jimin says, "Easy was killing us. Slow, but steady." Jungkook says, "I want us to keep this, not the mess." The honesty. Heads nod around the table. Someone raises a glass of water. "To boring truth," he says. "The kind that lets us keep going." They drink. They eat. They go home early like people who've learned sleep is more rebellious than chaos. Back at the studio, later than they planned to be, an email lands from the festival that had wavered. "We want you," it says. "No conditions. Bring what you wrote this week." Jimin shows Jungkook. "We can give them the new one stripped," he says. "No hinting at gossip, just the choice." "Yes," Jungkook says. "I want the music to grow teeth without eating anyone." The next day, another curveball. A veteran journalist, one of the few they respect, asks for an off-record conversation. Not a feature, not a profile. A check to make sure she's not accidentally amplifying lies. They say yes. She shows up without a recorder, just a notebook she doesn't open. "I won't quote you," she says. "I just want to understand the terrain." Jimin lays it out. The fixer, the clips, the brand leverage, the line they refuse to cross. Jungkook adds the part that matters most. "I'm done selling a version of myself that never makes mistakes. I make them. I fix them. I grow." That's the story, whether anyone likes it or not. The journalist nods. "I won't write that," she says. "But I'll stop others from writing a worse version." She leaves. They feel lighter for once after a media interaction. At noon, the board member who wanted silence sends a message. "I was wrong about the campaign. I saw the confession from the subcontractor. Do what you do. I'll stay out of your way." Jimin stares at the screen. "Did we just witness accountability?" Jungkook answers. "Write the date down." Afternoon rehearsal. They test the festival arrangement. It sounds like high tide meeting a backbone. No drama, just a spine that won't fold. Mid-run, a staffer pauses the track with an urgent whisper. "I probably shouldn't be involved," she says. "But my cousin works at the tabloid that fanned the fake messages. He says there's a bigger piece they shelved because the algorithm didn't bite. It accuses you," she nods at Jimin, "of locking him," she nods at Jungkook, "into a private agreement to keep your relationship undefined for marketing flexibility." Jimin blinks once. "Marketing flexibility?" Jungkook laughs. "We barely have schedule flexibility." "Do they have proof?" Jimin asks. He says they have a quote from an anonymous executive source. "Which could be any dude with a tie and a Twitter," Jungkook says. "Thanks for the heads up," Jimin tells her. "If it lands, we let it die on the vine. No rebuttal to her." She nods, relieved to hand off the grenade. The piece never lands. The confession from the subcontractor sucks the oxygen out of rumor season. The brand, embarrassed by their own eagerness to manipulate, backs down from the narrative tax without saying it out loud. Even Han sends a final short note. "I'm out. Good luck." No one replies. Late afternoon, a DM comes in from a young artist overseas. "I watched your live," it says. "I was about to sign a contract that gave a PR team veto power over my personal posts. I asked them to remove the clause. They said no. I walked. I'm scared, but I feel like I did the right thing." Jimin shows it to Jungkook. "This is why we did it this way," Jimin says. "Small ripples matter." "Small ripples," Jungkook echoes. "The only waves that don't drown you." Evening again. The director for the year-end stage sends a draft storyboard. No melodrama. Pure craft. Hard-cut transitions. Sharp arrangement. The notes say, "Let the song speak. Let the people follow. No speeches." Jimin grins. She gets it. Jungkook nods. Finally, someone using the right currency. They finish the day by signing the narrow addendum legal wrote. It's just 4 lines. Heads up if addressing personal matters during official events. No content control. No punitive clause. Mutual respect. They sign without theatrics because this is what adults do when they fix a broken hinge instead of replacing the door with a billboard. On the way out, Jungkook stops. "I want to say something that I'll probably want to delete later," he says. "Say it," Jimin replies. "I don't want to keep us undefined because it's convenient," Jungkook says. "I want to keep it undefined because names feel like cages right now. Not forever. Just until I know the difference between fear and readiness." Jimin nods slowly. "I can live with that if the practice stays clear." The practice? No disappearing. No bargaining our truth for comfort. No using the world's confusion as an excuse to be unclear with each other. "I can do that," Jungkook says. "I know," Jimin answers. "You've been doing it all week." They leave the building with nothing left to prove to anyone who isn't in the room. No victory lap, no cliffhanger, just a plan they can carry without breaking it, and a rhythm they can keep without selling it. The machine keeps humming elsewhere. The market keeps demanding a plot twist. They give neither. They go home. They sleep. They wake up to another day that looks like a test, and treat it like a craft. And for once, that's not a compromise. It's the whole point. The next morning doesn't even wait for coffee before starting the war. Jungkook's phone lights up at 6:12 a.m. with a message from Manager A. "Need you both at HQ by 9. Serious. No emojis. No context. Jimin gets the same text. He calls Jungkook. "You get that?" "Yeah," Jungkook says, voice thick with just woken grit. "Sounds like a setup." "Or a rescue," Jimin says. Only one way to find out. When they walk into the conference room, the air is already heavy with people who have decided what's best for them before they even sit down. Executive 1, Executive 2, Legal, PR Lead, Finance, 2 brand reps who should be in their own building. Manager A looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. Executive 1 opens. "Let's cut straight to it. We have a crisis." Jimin leans back. "Which one? We seem to collect them now." "A private internal memo leaked," Executive 2 says. "It outlines contingency plans for brand stabilization in the event of further public disclosures from either of you." Jungkook narrows his eyes. And the memo names both of you as high volatility assets in need of narrative steering." Jimin's jaw tightens, but his voice stays even. "So your strategy to manage us leaked, and now you have to manage the fallout from managing us." "It's not funny," PR Lead says. The memo is being spun as proof the label manipulates personal lives for profit. So, the truth, Jungkook says. Finance jumps in. The leak threatens current negotiations with 3 partners. If they believe you're uncooperative, they walk. Jimin stares at the table. You ever notice how cooperation only means do what we want quietly? Executive 1 ignores the jab. We need you to go on record denying that your personal decisions are shaped by corporate influence. That would be a lie, Jungkook says flatly. We're not doing that. Then say it's exaggerated, PR suggests. That's still a lie, Jimin says. There's a difference between not feeding gossip and rewriting reality. I'm not becoming your alibi. Executive 2 leans forward. Then give us something else. A positive story. A joint project. A feel-good distraction. We're not your human clickbait, Jungkook says. You want a distraction? Release the live performance cut from last year you've been sitting on because you thought it was too raw. There's a beat of silence. Legal coughs. That performance has language. So does life, Jimin says. If you want authenticity, start there. The brand reps speak for the first time. We don't mind edgy, but we can't have hostility toward partners in public. Jungkook smirks. Then stop acting hostile behind closed doors. One of them flushes and looks down. Manager A finally speaks up. Look, maybe we're overcomplicating. Fans are already on your side because of the live. If we don't engage, the memo dies in a week. Exactly, Jimin says. Silence by choice, not by command. Executive 1 clearly hates the idea but doesn't have a better one. Fine, no engagement. But if another leak drops, Jungkook interrupts. We tell the truth, not the version you can frame. The meeting ends with no handshakes. Outside the room, Jimin and Jungkook walk down the hallway in sync without speaking until they hit the elevator. You realize they're not going to stop poking, Jimin says. I'm counting on it, Jungkook says. Every time they poke, they show the world how much control they think they have. Back at the studio, they barely start warming up before PR lead calls again. Okay, don't kill me, but there's another problem. A major tabloid claims they have DMs between you two about strategizing the live, Jimin snorts. Strategizing? We didn't even script it. We just walked in and spoke. They say they'll release screenshots tomorrow, PR says. Fake? Jungkook asks. Almost certainly, PR says, but convincing enough for people who want to believe it. Then we don't play defense, Jimin says. We wait. When it drops, we show the metadata that proves it's fake. That night, Jungkook's phone buzzes with a number he hasn't saved in years. Against his better judgment, he answers. A voice from the past says, "You're making a mistake. You're not built for constant war." I'm not at war, Jungkook says. I'm just done being drafted without consent. The voice chuckles darkly. You think you're free. You're just writing a different script. At least it's mine, Jungkook says, and hangs up. Morning comes with the tabloid drop. The DMs are clumsy once you look closely. Wrong time zones, wrong speech patterns, references to events that happened months later. Jimin posts a single screenshot, a side-by-side of the fake DMs, and a calendar showing he was on a plane with no signal at the alleged time. Caption: Bad fiction, 0 stars. Jungkook posts nothing. He doesn't need to. By noon, the fake story collapses. Even industry people start subtweeting about how bad you have to be at lying to get caught by timestamps. The brand reps go quiet. Executive 2 sends a one-line email. Point made. But the quiet doesn't last. Around 3 p.m., her name trends again, not for a post, but because someone dug up old footage of her at a party with a brand exec. People connect dots that may not even be there. Jimin catches it first and shows Jungkook. You want to say something? No, Jungkook says. Not my circus, not my clowns. She gets to live without my commentary now. You've changed, Jimin says, almost approvingly. I'm tired, Jungkook replies. Tired is a good teacher. Evening brings a curveball from an unexpected direction. A DM from a rookie artist in their own label. I'm being told to stage a fake fight for engagement, it reads. They said it worked for you guys. Jungkook replies immediately. Don't. The cost isn't worth the click. Jimin adds. If they push, call us. We'll back you. The rookie sends a thank you that reads like someone catching a rope. At night, they meet in the quiet room again. Jungkook says, "I keep thinking about what that voice told me, about writing a different script." "And?" Jimin asks. "I don't care if it's a script," Jungkook says, "as long as I'm the one holding the pen." Jimin nods. "Then keep writing." They make one more pact before leaving. If the next storm hits, they won't spend it in a boardroom. They'll take it to the stage, to the work, to anywhere that doesn't smell like control. Because storms are easier to survive when you choose where you're standing. And as they walk out into the night, they both know the storms aren't done, but neither are they. The day starts with a message no one wants. Emergency town hall, 30 minutes, mandatory. No sender name, just the tone of a room already decided. Jimin texts, "You see that?" Jungkook replies, "Yeah, bet they want us to apologize for something they did." Jimin, "Then let's not." They walk into the main floor and the whole corridor is already buzzing. Staff huddle in corners, managers whisper. A couple of executives stare at their phones like the screens might change if they look hard enough. The town hall is just a big room with too many chairs. Executive 1 stands in front like a substitute teacher. Executive 2 beside him. Legal to the left, PR lead to the right. Finance behind them. There's a mic on a stand no one touches. Executive 1 starts. "Thank you for coming on short notice. We've had a set of developments that affect the whole organization." Jimin doesn't sit. Jungkook doesn't either. Executive 1 continues. "First, regarding the leaked memo, we have initiated a full internal review. Second, we are introducing new guidelines for personal disclosures during company-affiliated events. Third, there will be a temporary freeze on unscripted content." Jungkook speaks without waiting to be called. "Define unscripted." Executive 2 answers, "Any public-facing communication that hasn't gone through PR review." Jimin cuts in. "So, silence, unless supervised." Executive 1 smiles like he's negotiating with a child. "Framework, not silence." Jungkook, "I'm not a fire hazard you tag with labels." Executive 1, "No one is calling you that." Jimin, "You just did with nicer fonts." A junior producer raises a hand. "What about the subcontractor confession?" Legal nods. "Terminated. Contract voided. Liability contained." Jimin, "Liability contained for who?" Legal, "The company." Jungkook, "Try people next time." Executive 2 switches lanes. "We have to protect the work. That's the mission. The market punishes instability." Jimin, "The market doesn't get to dictate whether we speak like people." Finance tries a softer tone. "We're all here because we believe in the music. But we have payroll, we have crews, we have obligations." Jungkook, "Then don't build a business model that needs our silence to pay rent." A hand goes up from the back. It's a choreographer who never talks in meetings. "I want to say something. When they went live, half our team slept for the first time in weeks. Not because drama is good, because pretending is worse. That's all." The room goes quiet in a way that sounds like the first honest moment of the day. Executive 1 clears his throat. "Noted. For immediate steps, you two will meet with the board liaison at noon. Short, cordial, forward-looking." Jimin, "Forward-looking works. Cordial depends." Executive 1 tries to smile again. It doesn't land. "We're on the same side." Jungkook, "Then stop acting like our honesty is a threat." The town hall dissolves into side conversations. PR lead corners them near the door. "Before you bite my head off, I'm on your side." But they're spooked. Jimin, "I'm not biting your head off. I'm telling you the floor is crooked." PR lead, "I know. I can't fix the building. I can keep you from falling through." Jungkook, "We'll take rails, not chains." PR lead, "I'll bring rails." Noon arrives. The board liaison is waiting in a small office that has never once been used for music. No family photos, no art, just binders and a clock that keeps perfect time. He doesn't waste any. "I read the subcontractor confession," he says. "Disgusting. Not just because it was wrong, because it was lazy. If you're going to manipulate a story, at least be smart." Jimin looks at him. "That's your takeaway?" The liaison doesn't flinch. "My takeaway is this. The company forgot that you're here because you can't be replaced. That makes people nervous. They try to replace control with policy. I can't stop them. I can change the incentives." Jungkook. What do you want? Liaison. A truce that doesn't feel like surrender. I can kill the unscripted content freeze if you agree to a single point of contact for approvals. Not veto power, not edits, just coordination. Jimin. Name the point of contact. Liaison. Not Han. Not anyone from that branch. Someone you trust. Jungkook. Par lead. Liaison nods immediately. Done. Jimin leans forward. One more condition. No brand rep in any meeting about our personal lives. Ever. Liaison. Agreed. Jungkook. And put it in writing this afternoon. Liaison. You'll have it in an hour. He stands like the conversation is a contract. And maybe it is. As they leave, he says one more thing. Don't mistake this for generosity. It's self-preservation. But it's the right kind this time. Back in the corridor, Manager A catches them. Heads up. A reporter with a history of playing dirty is sniffing around family. He called your brother, Jimin. He called your cousin, Jungkook. Jimin. What did they say? Manager A. They hung up. But the reporter will write something anyway. Jungkook. Let him. He'll trip over his own confidence. An hour later, the piece drops online with a headline designed to stick like gum to hair. It claims to know their childhood dynamics, their supposed power imbalance, their private rules. It uses anonymous sources and fake intimacy. The comments split into predictable camps. Jimin doesn't read it. Jungkook tries and stops after the second paragraph. He sends a message to the group chat, don't engage. The first reply is from a member who never wastes words. Proud of you for not taking the bait. A second member follows up. If he knocks on my door, I'm answering with silence. Jimin replies, that's a loud answer. Then an unexpected call. Her, not to fight. To say she's being dragged in the comments under the article. She says she didn't feed it. She says she wants it to stop. Jungkook listens. I can't control the internet, he says. I'm not posting a defense. That would make it worse. She says she understands and asks him sincerely to take care. He says he will and means it. He ends the call and feels a weight shift from blame to finality. The afternoon meeting is rehearsal for the festival. The director shows up in a plain tee with a voice that sounds like a plan. I want 3 moments, she says. Not headlines. Stakes. I want the intro to say, we're here because the work outlived the storm. I want the middle to say, we learned our limits. I want the ending to say, we're not apologizing for being people. Jimin nods. We can do that. Jungkook adds. We can do it without a single speech. She flashes a quick thumbs up that reads like trust. Halfway through run-throughs, PR lead steps in with a printed letter. Board liaison delivered, they say. The letter is short and crystal. No brand representatives will be present in any meeting regarding personal matters of artists. Coordination point. PR lead. No punitive measures tied to personal disclosures made in good faith. Signed by the liaison. Counter. Signed by Executive 1 and 2. Jimin reads it and signs the copy that needs their acknowledgement. Jungkook does the same. PR lead tucks the document away like a life jacket. A message comes in from legal. Subcontractor's confession makes it possible to demand takedowns of the clipped audio. We can do it quietly. Jimin. Do it. Legal. On it. Jungkook. Don't send victory press. Legal. We won't. The rookie artist they advised earlier drops by. He looks torn between relief and hesitation. They backed off the fake fight, he says, but they offered me a different angle. Accidental leak of a studio clip. Jimin. Did you say no? Rookie. I said I'll release a real clip when the song's ready. Jungkook. That's the right answer. Call us if they push again. The kid nods. I didn't know you could just say no. Jimin. You can. You'll pay for it sometimes, but you'll sleep. Evening. The veteran journalist from earlier sends a message. I convinced my editor to spike 3 bad takes about your live. Not because I'm on your side, but because they were lazy. Jimin replies. Appreciate it. She sends back. Don't get used to it. Earn it each time. Jungkook. We will. A family group chat pings. Jimin's dad drops a single line. Proud of men who keep their word. No emojis, no extras. Just a line that lands exactly where it should. Jungkook's mom sends a photo of a handwritten note on her fridge. Clarity over comfort. He smiles and texts back a heart. Jimin sees it. "We're building a weird little religion," he says. "Basic honesty," Jungkook replies. "Heresy in some buildings." The next day brings the year's strangest invitation. A closed-door ethics roundtable hosted by a coalition of managers across labels. They want to talk about boundaries. They want Jimin and Jungkook there as case studies. The invite reads like a setup. Manager A says it could reset norms. Manager B says it could waste time. PR lead says it could signal leadership without giving away privacy. Legal says it comes with no binding agreements. Jimin weighs it. "If we go, we don't perform penance," he says. "We call the problem by name." Jungkook: "We go. We say the thing no one wants to hear. You can't build a sustainable business on muzzled lives." They walk into a room full of polished people who start sentences with brand and end them with sentiment. The moderator welcomes them like trophies. "We're grateful you came," she says. "We need to find a path that balances authenticity and structure." Jimin: "Balance always seems to lean toward the structure that pays." Nervous chuckles. A manager from another label raises a point about crisis cycles and attention economies. Jungkook: "If your attention plan needs fake drama, your content is weak." Someone tries to soften it. "We're talking about guardrails." Jimin: "Guardrails are fine. Handcuffs aren't." An older manager across the table clears his throat. "When I started, everything was agreement-based. You didn't air dirty laundry. Artists kept private life private," the work spoke. Jungkook: "Then you built marketing departments that turned private life into ad inventory. You don't get to be shocked when artists say, 'Not anymore.'" The room shifts from defensive to curious. A younger manager asks the real question. "Okay, then how do we sell without selling out?" Jimin: "Lead with the work. Tell the truth when asked. Stop setting traps. Stop letting fixers shape human lives for short-term bumps." Jungkook: "If you have to choose between a clean quarter and a clean conscience, pick the conscience and build better next quarter." The moderator stares like someone just turned on a light she didn't know existed. "Radical," she says. Jimin: "Basic." The room laughs in a way that sounds more relieved than amused. After the roundtable, a manager from a rival label catches them in the hall. "I thought you were reckless," he says. "I was wrong. You're boring in the right way." Jimin: "That's the point." Jungkook: "We're trying to make boring look brave." The man nods. It is. Back at the studio, the festival arrangement is nearly there. The last line needs a choice. Jimin suggests cutting the flourish. "We're not auditioning for approval," he says. Jungkook agrees. "No fireworks. Just follow through." They settle on an ending that sounds like a period, not an ellipsis. A final message from the board liaison lands before midnight. The revised policy is in effect. No brand reps in personal meetings. PR lead as coordination only. No penalties for good faith disclosures. The chair added a line I didn't expect. "Artists are people first." Jimin reads it twice. "Did we just nudge a ship?" Jungkook: "A few degrees, enough to dodge an iceberg." On the way out, Jimin stops. "I want to tell you something without making it into a moment." Jungkook: "Say it anyway." Jimin: "If you decide one day that this, whatever we are, needs a name, I'll listen. If you don't, I'll still be here, as long as we keep the practice. I'm not holding you hostage to a word." Jungkook: "I won't use your patience as cover for my fear." Jimin: "Good, that's the only thing that scares me." Jungkook: "Then we're aligned." They end the day the way they've been trying to end all of them lately, with a plan small enough to keep. Wake early, rehearse hard, eat, answer only necessary calls. Say no to theater dressed as therapy. Text the rookie to check in. Send the arrangement to the director. Keep the rails, avoid the chains. If chaos knocks, open the door only if it brought respect. No cliffhanger, no dramatic promise. Just a clear next step, and a decision to take it without selling it. The storm is still out there, but it doesn't own the calendar anymore. And that, for now, is victory. The calendar looks like a dare. Festival in 4 days. Documentary lock in 6. Board check-in tomorrow. Jimin calls first. "We need a clean plan for the next 48. Jungkook answers immediately. "No detours. Rehearse. Lock arrangement. Coordinate with PR lead. Sleep." "Add one more," Jimin says. "Rookie check-in." already texted him, Jungkook says. He slept. Miracles happen. Manager A pings them both. Board chair wants a brief meet today. Not a trap. 10 minutes. Jimin replies, fine, set it. Jungkook. 10 minutes means 10. They meet PR lead in the small planning room. No theatrics, just bullet questions spoken like shorthand. PR, any statements? Jimin, no. PR, if a new rumor hits? Jungkook. Silence, unless it affects work. PR. Festival intro talk, or no talk? Jimin, no talk. PR. Documentary approvals? Jungkook. Cut bait, keep work. PR, nods. Rails are up. Chain requests rejected. You've got room. The board chair arrives without an entourage and sits like he's used to chairs that don't ask for attention. I'll be brief, he says. You were right about the memo. It was a failure of judgment. Policies changed. I can't promise virtue from everyone, but I can promise consequences. Jimin, we're not asking for virtue, just basic boundaries. Chair, you have them. Also, the subcontractor's confession gave us leverage to end 2 vendor relationships. We're cleaning house. Jungkook, good. Keep cleaning. Chair, one ask. Jimin, say it. Chair, no more surprises during official sets without a 5-minute warning to PR lead. Not permission, just heads up. Jungkook, done. Chair, thank you. Go make me proud by ignoring me and making something good. He leaves. Jimin looks at Jungkook. Did a board chair just act like a grown-up? Jungkook, mark the date. Rehearsal starts, and the director joins them with a notebook she doesn't open. 2 notes, she says. First, tighten the second verse. It wanders. Second, I want a visual beat where the music drops and then hits harder. Not drama. Contrast. Jimin, cut the filler line. Jungkook, yeah. Replace it with the spine. Director, exactly. Halfway through, Manager B rushes in. You'll hate this. A pundit panel's going live in an hour to debate whether your boring honesty is a calculated brand reset. Jimin, let them invent complexity. Jungkook, if they need content that bad, they can talk to their mirrors. Manager B, you sure you don't want to counter message? Jimin, no. Jungkook, every rebuttal feeds a beast that never sleeps. Manager B exhales. Copy. Phones buzz. A text from the veteran journalist. Panel at 3 is stacked with performative outrage. I'll steer it away from smear if I can. No promises. Jimin, do what's right for your chair. We're not playing. She replies, good answer. Afternoon brings an unexpected visitor. The choreographer who spoke up at the town hall. He shuts the door and speaks low. I have a confession. Months ago, I agreed to stage a spontaneous moment for a brand live stream. I hated it. I said yes because I thought it would protect the team. It didn't. It just made me part of the machine that choose artists. I'm out. If that hurts my standing, so be it. Jimin, thank you for telling us. Jungkook, you don't owe us penance. Choreographer, I owe myself a spine. Jimin, then keep it. We've got your back. The rookie arrives, mid-spiral. They pitched me another idea. Mysterious collaborator tease, with blurred photos. Jungkook, no. Jimin, if you want mystery, make it the music. Rookie, what if they bench me? Jungkook, then you're right. They can't bench your work. Jimin, and when you debut for real, you won't have to scrub lies from your record. Rookie, okay, no blur, no tease, just songs. Jimin, welcome to the slow lane. It's faster than it looks. PR lead returns, eyes alert. The panel happened, mixed takes. 2 tried to bait, 1 defended, 1 shrugged. The shrug won. Jungkook, my favorite critic. Pra. Also, the brand tried to float a healing vignette again. I told them the policy. They backed down. Quietly. Jimin, good. Keep the rails. Evening planning session. Manager A lays out logistics. Festival day timeline. Sound check at noon. Quick note with director at 1. Downtime till 8. No press pit questions. No backstage walkthrough camera. Security expects crowd high. Jimin, no sensory notes. Just keep the lanes clear. Manager A, you got it. Jungkook. Add a 5-minute heads, up to PR before the set. We promised. Manager A, setting the alarm now. Night shifts to the studio. The song is almost there. Jungkook proposes a final line change. Instead of, I won't run, say, I won't trade my name for peace. Jimin. Better. Cleaner. They run it twice. It holds. Director thumbs up. Lock it. Morning. A message from her. I'm going offline for a while. Not because of you. Because of me. Jungkook types back. I wish you peace for real. He hits send and sets the phone down. Jimin asks, You good? Jungkook. Yeah, that's the last thread. Jimin. Then we cut it. Legal pings. Takedown successful. Clipped audio is off major platforms. Mirrors remain, but traffic is fading. Jimin. Don't chase the mirrors. Legal. We won't. The Ethics Roundtable sends follow-up notes, drafting a cross-label guideline. No vendor manipulation of personal narratives. No fixer-led emotional plots. Artist. First coordination. Non-binding but public. Jungkook. Make it boring. Boring survives. Jimin. If they keep it plain, it might stick. Per lead adds. I'll help keep it plain. Lunch brings family again because families don't consult calendars. Jimin's mom calls. I don't understand all the noise, she says. I understand you sounded like yourself for the first time in a while. Jimin. That's the only metric that matters. She laughs softly. Metrics. Look at you. Eat something real. He promises he will. Jungkook texts his brother. All good. Brother replies. Don't let smart people make you dumb. Afternoon rehearsal clicks. No fret, no scramble, just choices repeated until they stop shaking. Director leans in. I want one stillness beat before the last chorus. Jimin. We can do stillness without performing silence. Jungkook. Make it functional. Director. Exactly. Then a curveball. A leak of an old calendar screenshot that suggests they planned the live 3 weeks in advance. The image is doctored, but fast eyes miss the artifacts. Hashtags sprint. Manager B rushes in with a half-panicked whisper. We can disprove it, but it'll take an hour. Jimin. We have an hour? Per lead. Yes. Jungkook. Then do it right. Per lead. On it. An hour later, PR lead returns with receipts, server logs, change histories, font mismatches, timestamp errors. We can post this, they say. Jimin. Post one clean image. No gloating. Par lead posts. A single side by side with a simple caption. We don't stage honesty. Comments split. Then settle. The fake loses oxygen. The feed moves on. Evening brings the quiet before the festival. The members gather for a last group check. Nothing formal. A few lines that matter. One says, we're solid. Another says, we're proud of you both. A third says, let's go to work. They bump fists because it's habit, not theater. Festival day. Soundcheck runs like a list. Director gives a last nod. PR lead texts. 5-minute heads. Up received. Thanks. Manager A. Stage ready. Security. Clear lanes. No speeches, no last-minute edits. Jimin looks at Jungkook. Ready to be boring in the right way? Jungkook. My current favorite style. They hit the mark. The arrangement does what they built it to do. Carry the weight without asking for applause for the carrying. No confessions, no winks, no subtext, handed out like candy. Just a choice you can hear without anyone naming it. The drop lands. The last line holds. The period at the end stays a period. Backstage, no one performs relief. They just confirm tasks. Director, locked. Manager A, clean exit. PR lead, no press. 2 emails from brand, congratulations. No asks. Legal, no issues. Jimin, great. Jungkook, next. The documentary editor sends the final cut for sign-off. They watch it in the little room that has seen the best and worst of their year. No commentary tracks, no confessional scenes. Work, sweat, rehearsals, decisions implied rather than packaged. Jimin, approve. Jungkook, approve. Par lead, Thank you for not asking me to add journey B-roll. Jimin laughs once. We retired the word. A message lands from the board chair. Festival was the right kind of quiet. Well done, they reply with a single line. We'll keep choosing this. Evening, the rookie texts. I sent my song to a small blog I like. No tease. They loved it. Jungkook, good. Build small circles that don't ask you to bleed. Jimin, when the big circle comes, you'll be ready. They finally sit across from each other in the small room with nothing left on the day's list. Jungkook speaks first. Do you ever worry we're overcorrecting? That we'll make honesty a brand by accident? Jimin, I worry we'll forget the practice, but not today. Jungkook, what's the check? Jimin, simple questions. Are we telling the truth to each other before we tell it to anyone else? Are we making the work cleaner? Are we protecting the parts of our lives that don't need witnesses? Jungkook, today, yes. Jimin, then we're good. Jungkook looks down at his notes app. I added to the list. Jimin, read it. Jungkook, I will ask for help before I burn out. I will answer calls I avoid when I'm ashamed. I will not make you decode silence. I will keep the promise, even when nobody's watching. Jimin, add one more. Jungkook, what? Jimin, I will not confuse public kindness with private honesty. Jungkook, done. Phones buzz in the background with the usual noise of a world that always wants a little more than it deserves. They don't pick up. They don't post. They don't pose. They walk out with a plan that looks the same as yesterday because it worked. Wake, work, eat, say no to theater, say yes to the people who earned it, keep the rails, avoid the chains. Before they part, Jungkook stops in the doorway. I've been thinking about labels again. Jimin, you love to punish yourself with semantics. Jungkook, not today. Just, I don't want a label to do the work of a promise. I want the promise to do the work. Jimin, we already made it. Jungkook, then I'm good. Jimin, me too. They leave it there. No victory lap. No wink to the camera. No cliff to hang from. Just a clean page for tomorrow and the muscle to keep writing on it without asking anyone for permission. The morning starts with a stack of invites nobody asked for. One from an award show, one from a business magazine, one from a brand CEO who wants a friendly coffee. Jimin texts first. We need to choose our battles. Jungkook replies fast. Skip the awards. Skip the magazine. Take the coffee. If the CEO wants to talk, I want to hear what game he's playing. Manager A sets it up at HQ, not a cafe. Smart call. PR lead joins. Legal sits in. The CEO walks in on time with a smile that sounds like a deal. I'll keep it short, he says. I'm not here to force a narrative. I'm here to admit we tried, failed, and learned. You were right to push back. Jimin doesn't blink. If that's true, great. What do you actually want? The CEO places a folder on the table. 3 things. 1. We drop all healing content ideas. Done. 2. We keep the partnership but route every creative ask through PR lead. No backdoor pitches. 3. We fund a small program for young artists and the label that protects them from fixer culture. You two design it, we pay for it. Jungkook says nothing for a beat. Then, why? The CEO doesn't dance. Because paying for trust is cheaper than losing you. Jimin answers plain. You fund it without branding it. No logo on the door. No press launch. Quiet. The CEO nods. Agreed. Legal clears his throat. We'll need that in writing. The CEO smiles. You'll have it by end of day. Jungkook leans in. One more thing. Your team floated my breakup as a talking point to a partner. That stops. If anyone does it again, we walk with receipts. The CEO's smile drops into real talk. Understood. He stands. No handshake. No fake warmth. Just a line that lands right in the middle. Go make music. We'll get out of your way. Outside the room, PR lead exhales. I didn't think he'd give that much. Jimin shrugs. He gave what keeps the lights on. Jungkook adds. We took only what we can carry. Manager A texts the rookie. Something's coming that might help you. The kid replies with 10 exclamation points, then deletes 9 and sends one. They head to rehearsal. The director's already there with 2 notes. Your new ending works, she says. But I want one breath before it. Not drama. Space. Jimin answers. We can do space as a choice, not a performance. Jungkook nods. One count, no more. They try it. It holds. Halfway through, a message arrives from Executive 2. We've got a problem. A columnist is posting a thread claiming you secretly signed on for a reality series about your personal lives. He says he saw a draft deck. Jimin types back. Lie. PR lead jumps in. We can kill it if we move fast. Jungkook writes, post one line from us. We're not doing a reality show. Nothing more. PR lead posts it. The thread limps. The columnist tries to drag it out with insinuations. Fans reply with screenshots of the signed policy changes. The columnist pivots to something else within an hour. Cheap oxygen. Gone. Right as the dust settles, the board liaison calls. Quick update, he says. We finalized the vendor audit. 2 more firms out. Also, the chair approved your no brand in private rule as permanent policy across the label, not just for you. Jimin says, good. Jungkook says, make sure it doesn't get quietly rolled back next quarter. The liaison answers, I'll tie it to a compliance report. If they touch it, they have to log it. Jimin replies, tie it to someone's bonus too. The liaison laughs once. Now you're thinking like a board member. Noon comes with a text from her. Not a speech. A sentence. I'm leaving the city for a while. Jungkook replies, I hope you find calm. She sends back, you too. That's it. Jimin reads it over his shoulder. You okay? Yeah, Jungkook says. I finally don't need the last word. That's growth, Jimin says. Not mocking it, just marking it. Afternoon slides into a closed door with a documentary team. The editor cues up 2 cuts. One lean, one with more context. We prefer lean, he says, but you tell us. Jimin says, lean. Jungkook says, lean. The producer raises a point. There's a moment where you two talk about boundaries on tour. It's not scandal, but it's intimate. Keep or cut? Jimin answers, keep the principle, cut the specifics. Jungkook adds, protect the practice. They make 3 small trims. The film still sings. No confessional monologues. No alter to drama. Just work and honesty where it's earned. The rookie drops by with a grin that reads like relief. I played my track for the small blog, he says. They posted it. No mystery collaborator, no staged drama. Comments are small but real. Jungkook fist bumps him. That's how you build a spine, Jimin adds. We're formalizing a fund for artists like you. Quiet money, real protection. You'll help us design it. The rookie's eyes go wide. He nods fast. I won't waste it. Don't be perfect, Jimin says. Be honest. Evening brings the one thing they kept dodging. The awards invite, again, now with Artist of the Year on the line. Manager B is excited. This is influence, he says. If you skip, they'll spin it as arrogance. Jimin answers calmly. We're not skipping, we're restructuring. Jungkook tilts his head. Meaning? We go, Jimin says, but we don't walk the carpet, and we don't do backstage talk. We sit in our seats like normal people, clap for others, except if we win. Keep it short. Leave. Manager B frowns. They want a backstage moment. PR lead chimes in. They can want. We offered attendance. That's enough. Manager B sighs and gives up. Fine. But if they put the camera on you every 5 minutes, don't blame me. Jimin says, we'll blink. On the way out, an assistant whispers, one more thing. A podcast host is teasing exclusive voice notes of you two arguing from months ago. Jimin looks at Jungkook. You recorded anything? Never, Jungkook says. PR lead steps in. Probably AI fakes. If they drop, we'll get forensic help. Jimin nods. No previews, no warnings. If it lands, we kill it with facts, not theatrics. Legal replies from another room, like a chorus, already lining up experts. Next morning, the host drops the voice notes. They sound convincing to people who want to be convinced. The comments explode with armchair detectives and vowel police. PR lead text. Experts confirm it's synthetic. We can publish a short debunk. Jungkook writes, do it, short, clear. Jimin adds, no dunking. PR lead posts a single graphic, spectrogram analysis, clear markers, a 2-line caption. Generated, we do not record private fights. find a better hobby. The wave dies faster than it rose. The host deletes the clips and posts a non-apology. Nobody cares. Then the call that changes the week. The festival wants them to headline next year with full creative control. No conditions. The director sends a string of joyful words that read like a playlist. Jimin grins. We earned that. Jungkook nods. By being boring as hell. PR lead adds. By being consistent. Manager A adds. By not letting anyone else hold the pen. Legal adds. By making me useful for once. Everyone laughs because it lands. They sit with the board liaison and map the fund. Jimin lays out the rules. No branding. Anonymous applications. Fast disbursements. No quid pro quo. Covered uses. Therapy. Legal consults. Independent PR. Pause money so they don't have to take bad gigs. Jungkook adds. Mentor track. Quiet check-ins. Not a content farm. PR lead suggests a name. Jimin shakes his head. No names. Just a link and a door. The liaison nods like someone who thought he'd be putting out fires and gets to build a hydrant instead. Afternoon. A text pings from the veteran journalist. You turned down the magazine profile? Jimin answers. We don't need a profile right now. She replies. Smart. They were gonna angle it like a redemption arc. You'd hate it. Jungkook writes, we're allergic to arcs. She sends a laughing emoji and a warning. Watch for a think piece that says your honesty is a male privilege move. Jimin answers. We'll take the critique if it's fair. We won't feed it if it's lazy. She replies. That's the way. Evening. They finally talk about the thing neither of them wants to treat like a ceremony. Jungkook starts. People keep asking what we are. Jimin says. People ask because they want permission to feel something. Jungkook nods. I don't want to answer out of guilt or performance. I want to answer when the answer makes sense. Jimin says, we can just keep showing up and let the answer be the shape of our days. Jungkook laughs. That sounded like therapy. Jimin shrugs. It's the only free kind we get. The award show arrives. They go. They don't walk the carpet. They slip in, sit down, do the job of being present without selling themselves. The show drags, as shows do. Their name gets called. They stand, they walk. No speeches prepared. Jimin says 2 lines. Thank you for listening when we told the truth. We'll keep working. Jungkook says 1. Be kind to people you can't monetize. They leave the stage, back at their seats. Manager B texts. Perfect. Executive 2 texts. You gave them nothing to twist. PR lead texts. A single check mark. Backstage, a producer tries to pull them into a quick interview. PR lead steps between. No unscripted content, they say, not apologizing. The producer tries to guilt trip. Fans want to hear from them. Jimin answers for himself. Fans heard the music. The producer backs off. They exit with the group. After the last category. No cameras in their faces. No fake hugs. No invented arcs. Next day, the fun paperwork arrives from legal. It's real. It's clean. It's ready. They sign. The liaison signs. The CEO signs. PR lead sets up a private portal. The rookie sends the first thank you that isn't public. Jimin reads it. That one message is worth more than any campaign. Jungkook nods. This is the only brand I care about. People who can sleep. Then the twist they didn't plan for. A former exec posts a long piece arguing that their push for boundaries will kill creativity, that chaos made geniuses, that order will flatten art. It's dressed up with big words and a lot of nostalgia. It gets traction because cynicism always does. Manager A asks if they want to respond. Jimin says no. Jungkook says no. The director responds instead, on her own feed. Stop romanticizing pain you never paid for, she writes. Chaos didn't make them. Work did. Let them work. The piece loses steam. The think piece economy moves on to its next target. The festival sends over a poster concept that looks like a trophy. They ask for notes. Jimin says, simpler. Jungkook says, smaller fonts, bigger date. More room for the openers. The marketing team blinks. You want the openers big? Jungkook answers, we want the latter to be visible. They send a revised version. It looks like music, not a campaign. Approved. They close the day with a meeting just for them. No staff, no scripts. Jimin starts. Not ceremonial, just practical. I want to check something we keep skirting. Is there any part of you that wants to go back? Not to her, to the comfort of saying nothing? Jungkook doesn't pretend. Sometimes, silence feels like a warm coat, but it never fits. Jimin nods. If you want a coat, get a coat, not a muzzle. Jungkook smirks. Add that to my list. He opens his notes and types it. I will not confuse comfort with silence. He adds another. I will not ask you to carry the cost of my clarity. Jimin adds one too. I will not use your growth as proof I was right. They read the 3 lines out loud. They feel like rails, not chains. Phones buzz again with the usual pull of everyone else's agenda. They let it buzz. They write down tomorrow's plan in 10 words. Rehearse, approve cut, send festival notes, fund live, rookie check-in, eat. No trophies on the list. No headlines, just verbs. Before they leave, Jungkook stops at the door. I've got one thing left. Jimin waits. Jungkook says it's simple. Whatever label we never say out loud, I'm living it anyway. You don't need a word to make me show up. Jimin answers, just as simple. Then keep showing up. Jungkook nods. I will. Jimin nods back. Me too. They walk out without ceremony. No cliff, no tease, just a straight line they drew themselves and the discipline to keep walking it tomorrow.